Welcome to another edition of a 15-minute perspective of purposeful and powerful living strategies. I'm your host, Karen Jackson. Today's special guest is Mrs. Darlene West. She is a co-author of Finding Your Voice. She's a former dancer with the Dayton Contemporary Dance Company. She is a teacher at the Darlenes School of Dance. She's a director of the children's ministry at Phillips Temple Church, and she has nearly 40 years of service with the City of Dayton Police Department. So we thank you so much for coming to spend some time with us this afternoon, Mrs. West.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I am so excited to sit down and talk with you. I wanted to ask you, what are five principles that you believe help you fulfill your purpose and help you achieve success?
My 5 principles are God first, purpose, dedication, determination, let's get busy, taking action.
Well, I definitely agree with you on the God first. When God is not, we were just talking about that a little bit offline. You know, we can have all the plans in the world, but if we don't put God first, then we leave those plans to chance.
Yes, we do.
So tell me, how did you arrive at those being your 5 principles that help guide you?
Over the years, as being a leader over the children's ministry, I had to learn that God was in control of everything that transpired in my life. And even though I was given that opportunity to be director over the children's ministry, the ministry wasn't mine. It was his. And so with that, I learned through mistakes and errors that he had to be first. And I had to make it a purpose because his purpose was my purpose. And I knew I was there for a divine reason and a plan. And with that, I could devote the dedication to the mission that was given to me. Then my heart was determined to do exactly what I was called to do. Then that's how I can go in and take action. Because I'm moving not in my will, in my way, but his will, his way. And when I keep that straight in front, I don't do too much detouring. I don't do too many falling down in my assignment. What you have is just challenges, which are part of life. And with that, you never get away from that. No matter how well you plan it to a T, you never know the challenge you're going to face. But when you face that challenge, it's not a challenge to crush you. It's a challenge to push you to the next level. It's a challenge to help you to understand there is more in you. And it will not come to the forefront until you are challenged. And then you learn, I can rest and abide in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ because he's carrying me through whatever I face. So that just gives me a joy in explaining that. And I just get a heart full. And I think you can kind of tell.
I think I can tell. I certainly can. Now, it's something interesting you said. You said one of the principles is let's get busy, let's take action. And I'm a firm believer that, you know, you can have all the goals in the world, you can have all the plans in the world, but without action, it's just a dream. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. Once again, learning and working in the children's ministry, you are given different assignments. Sometimes you know right offhand what to do, and other times you're going almost like a deer in the headlight. But then when I go into prayer and ask God, I need help. You've given me a gift over here, but right now I need that divine intervention to give me exactly what I need to bring this to the forefront. And that's when everything starts to line up and I go into action because I have received all my resources. Spiritually, I've received everything. I have a little small story that will make this hit home. We were preparing for our passion play at church, and I was given a piece of music that within my spirit I did not understand. I heard the words, but it wasn't hitting me where I wanted to choreograph anything. So I said, Lord, if you don't give me exactly in detail what to do with this song, it won't happen. Immediately, ideas start flowing. I remember one night I was asleep. An idea hit me. God just moves and he goes straight into action and helping me to achieve what I was looking for. So when people saw the dance, they were just in complete awe. And they said, well, Miss Darlene, how did you do that? I said, it was God. Great plus for me in learning, taking it in action. And he goes into action immediately. He don't waste time like we might procrastinate, but he go like zoom. So that story just hits home to let you know he immediately goes into action. And when he goes into action and we're following him, we'll go into action immediately.
So let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk a little bit about your book. You are a co-author of Finding Your Voice.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what that's all about.
Finding Your Voice is a very unique book. It has 27 authors involved in this project. And all these women have wonderful stories of challenges, great challenges, physically, mental, on their job, of things they face with their family that brought them great tragedy. But through learning about how much God loved them, learning how to work through all of those challenges, it brought a peace. It brought a time of, I was over here at one point, but now I'm over here. I am healed because stayed focused, stayed on track, stayed with God. Some of them, they had to learn who he was. So as you go through any type of challenge, you learn who he is, and you learn that he will bring you out. So these stories that these women wrote, even mine, came through learning about life and learning that God will bring you through. There is nothing that we will experience that we will not come through. But the biggest point is, will you be positive or negative? But to get your full blessings, if you stay positive and realize that you had to go through it, whatever it was, but it made me stronger, not weaker, made me wiser, not foolish. Realize that God was in control and he had me all the time. And when you look back, you go like, he had me. Dang, he just had me. Oh, man. And you know it was nobody else. Nobody that could did that for you but him. That is a great acknowledgement of who he is. And then you can get to tell people about him. Because you know what? What happened? Then you can tell your story. Oh, tell me more about this God. God keeps opening up doors for you to tell more people about him. And like we've been saying the whole time we've been on the comment, nothing just happens. Everything that transpires in our life is for a purpose. Sometimes we can see it, sometimes we can't. Sometimes it sneaks up on you, sometimes it's just like in your face. But it's okay. We still know that God is in control and that he loves us. And everything we go through, he brings it back abundant and gives you blessings that you didn't even ask for. You didn't even think you was going to receive. And so that's how much he loves us, because he wants us to live life in abundance. And he does provide that abundance. But blessings, sometimes we always just think a blessing as monetary. I can buy this, I have that. But most of the times, blessings can come through peace with your family. I got food on the table. I got my health and my strength. I got the love of my husband. I had the love of my wife. I had the respect of my in a multitude of ways. And so you got to be looking at them. And just like I said, they're not the ones that we just can see with our eyes. But everything else is that abundance.
Wow.
Time where I'm like, Lord, are you sure this is what I'm supposed to be doing? Then he'll send something to me, go like, this is you. This is what somebody say, oh, Miss Darlene, I ain't seen you in years, but I remember you being my teacher. And you be like, wow. Then they proceed to tell you all the things that you did for them to help them make them a strong adult.
And sometimes that comes right at the time that you just need just a little bit. You might have had a bad day and you might be frustrated about something that you're doing, and that same thing that you've been doing, and then that person comes to you and says
this says it out of the blue. And you know, if you're listening, God, the Holy Spirit just keeps touching your spirit. Got to know that he's there. It's not it's not a thing, but it is a person. It's God. God on the inside of you. So when we asked him to be Lord and Savior over our life, there he is. He comes right there. He's living. He's walking with us. Wherever we go, he's right there with us. So you have to realize he's constantly. The biggest thing, are you listening?
Back to your book, The Finding Your Voice, is that why you participated in that process, in that the book, because you had to find your voice?
Well, the reason that I stepped into that process, I was a member of Toastmasters at that time, and I gave a speech. My mentor said, "Oh, Darlene, that would make a great segment for a book." So she turned me on to a email that she received from Linda Eastman, which is the publisher. So when I called her, she was in New York, and I told her about what I spoke about. She says, you can hear it in her voice. She says, "That is great. That would make a great segment in this book of all these other women." So I was like, okay. So that was the beginning of a new journey for me. What I wanted to do, it came right when I least expected. And so God provided that. And see, with that, I had the finances in order. I also had the legwork of the chapter already written out. But what I had to do was produce 10 pages of work on the basis of what I had originally spoke about and create what is read in the book. So with that, that was a challenge to me because I really had to sit down and think about that journey I went through at that time. And I had to think about all the struggles I went through. Process of recovery, a process of healing that you go through. And so with that, I had to tell that story. I had to tell that journey. And it is a journey, and it's a divine journey. And so it is called Shaping, a divine journey. I got a chance to tell how I used to like to play with clay, and you reshape it, and you pound it, and you reshape it. And it dawned on me, life is just like that Play-Doh. Didn't think about it before as a kid. You just played with it. But then when you think about life, life is just like that. You're always being reshaped. You're always being rechanged. You're never going to be the same. Even though you're right here, right now, when you leave here and not come out, you ain't gonna be the same because you ain't gonna be thinking the same. Remember, you're always in a state of change, and your state of change is yours. Mine is mine. Everybody has their own because people grow at different levels, at different states. God opened up that door for me to step from my comfort zone to out here speaking, having workshops, being able to speak to others boldly with a strength and a power. And that's God. That's how he prepared me. And so with me doing that, it just prepared me for the next level. And then you got to be able to look in the mirror and say, I love you. I love you. Take it. Because we always want people to love us more than we love ourselves. And when you can't look at yourself raw, straight on, then sometimes you might fall into that false love. I love me because I got this or that, or I'm wearing this or that. No, raw. Do you love you? Yeah, I do. I learned that the hard way. But I thought when I prayed and I didn't hear anything that was God speaking to me saying, no, he wasn't. He was telling me, be still. Not the time. Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll make it plain for you. That was my greatest lesson I learned, is learning to be still, listening for him to speak to my spirit and heart, because he will speak. And he's not speaking loud, like I'm going to speak loud and boisterous. He'll speak real soft. And if you're paying attention, he will send it. He'll send it through somebody and they'll just speak. And you know you hadn't even talked to that person.
When you are a doer and you are an achiever, you want to be doing something. But sometimes doing something is doing nothing and being still and listening for God to speak, to tell you when you should move and how you should do it.
Yes.
So as we wrap up, I wanted to ask you this, and I always ask my guests this question. Some of the latest research suggests that by the age of 9, that a young woman has already started to develop their sense of self. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to ask you, what would you say to that 9-year-old self, Darlene?
God will provide everything you need. And so with that, if I was standing there talking to her, I would say, love yourself. Look at your gifts and talents. Don't look at nobody else. You're special and unique. You were born to make a difference. And stand on that. Get there to talk to her. And if I get there to believe that, with all of your heart, with all of your soul and all your mind, you are forced to reckon with, rather, because you got them blinders on. Nothing will disturb you.
Well, Miss Darlene, we are out of time. It has been a wonderful time to sit here and chat with you. I think one thing that I would leave our audience based on what we talked about is that growth and comfort cannot exist in the same environment. So we just encourage you to grow, push beyond your comfort zone, love yourself, and believe what God says about you and not what others say. So we will look forward to hearing all about all the wonderful other things that you're going to be doing, the speaking engagements and those kind of things. And we'll definitely include a link to your website or your Facebook page so that our listening audience can stay in touch with you and follow your journey and be able to come, maybe get one of your books, Finding Your Voice, and hear one-on-one more about your fantastic story. So we thank you so much for coming, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Again, this has been another edition of a 15-minute perspective of purposeful and powerful living strategies.